To our big spotlight for tonight. Few weeks back, Shah Rukh Khan had warned that if religious intolerance in India was not curbed, then it could push the country to the precipice, that is the dark ages. As an Indian, he was just voicing his own agony and frustration on that subject. And in a democracy, one imagines that an individual is entitled to their own opinions. But that unfortunately led to a series of accusations and recriminations against Shah Rukh Khan, including some calling him anti-national and how his heart is in Pakistan. Just last week, the other Khan, Aamir too, faced flak over his comments on a public platform when he said that his wife Kiran Rao was wondering whether they should leave the country owing to the growing levels of dissatisfaction. Sadly, yet predictably, the same story unfolded. He was accosted for his comments, and people, of course, went on to question his patriotism. While bulk of the focus of his comments was on his wife wondering whether they should leave the country, few, in fact, noticed that Aamir also said that such a thought was disastrous. In the middle of such heated controversies, earlier in the day, I sat down with Shah Rukh Khan to understand whether stars like him and Aamir will have to be far more diplomatic now than in the past. And as brand icons, was there more pressure on them now? He was in Delhi today to propose safe driving as Hyundai's brand ambassador. Listen in to this big exclusive for tonight. When have you seen me beaming like this before an interview? Because the man sitting next to me is no ordinary one. He's the Superman of Indian film industry and perhaps somebody who has the world's most famous initials, SRK. Shah Rukh Khan, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you, Ron, for having me on the show.
Just tell us a little bit about the initiative. You're in Delhi despite excruciating pain on your knee to sort of promote a cause, road safety. It's something that in terms of understanding there, we don't sort of discuss this as often as we should. So what prompts you into sort of taking this initiative?
Actually, more than me, to be really honest, you know, I do a lot of jobs, I do a lot of businesses, I'm employed by a lot of companies. And then comes a chance that Hyundai gave me. That, listen, we've been selling our product, we've been doing well, 18 years, we've been together. But I think we mean to be a little more than what we are. And let's start some initiative. Which falls in the category of stuff that we do, so we have knowledge of it. And road safety for children and otherwise is an initiative that we want to promote. And it was to be done a few months back, but then again I was a little injured, and so was I in the last few days. But I said, you know what, we need to start this because our poli has been ready, films have been ready for the last 6-8 months. And I think it's a very cute, very sweet, and a very seriously needed initiative. And the execution will start tomorrow, apparently in 5 cities, 40 schools, some colonies. And I hope it becomes an all-India movement with even other corporates, you know, jumping onto the bandwagon. They also should do stuff like this. And a car company doing road safety with me who likes children, I think it's all fits in very well. I'm very excited about it. And I was very inspired when I heard Mr. Gadkari and everyone speak here and talk about that everyone needs to get together, a big corporate, the government, and you know, people who can educate the children. If all three come together, maybe in the future, some of the issues we have in terms of losing life on roads, children especially, and traffic problems can be curbed a little. And it's the need of the hour.
Right. And it sort of gels also well with the fact that not many would know, but your first commercial was when I think you were riding pillion on a scooter and trying to explain why it's important to wear a helmet. Was back what? Back in the 80s?
Must be, late 80s with Colonel Kapoor, and it was on a road just here near Delhi Public School. We shot it there, and I fall, and because I'm wearing a helmet, I don't hurt myself. And when I'm not wearing the clasp, then I hurt myself. And yeah, so it's very ironic that it's been a full circle now, and I'm going to do this. And I just remembered it while driving down here that I'd shot it on one of those roads here. And in Delhi, and I'm very happy to do this. I think I've reached a stage in my life, especially with my kids now as a father, where safety and health of your children and the future matters. So I think you always feel for stuff like this, but I feel a little more strongly now, I think.
Right. I mean, you are a Delhi boy at the end of the day, but your Karma Bhumi is in Mumbai. But every time you come back and you look at the pollution levels in Delhi, I mean, how do you look at it, considering the fact that, and that is something that has outraged many? Do you feel that there is enough awareness, especially when we're having a Paris climate change summit, while we speak right now? So is that something that as a community we need to do enough and more about?
See, I can sit here on my high horse and talk about it and say we need to change it and stuff. But these are realities. It's there now. And there are reasons for it, of course. There's population, there's traffic, there's emissions, there's lack of some planning somewhere. But finally, it just boils down to us. We keep on talking about X has done it, Y has done it. We have radical statements. We jump the gun and attack each other. But I think at the end of it all, we all need to collectively decide on our own. It's an individual collective decision, if that makes sense.
Right.
Each one of us needs to be sure that my decision is something that others are going to take also because they feel the same, and slowly it becomes a collective decision without anyone having to say anything to the other. Of course, the awareness drives, and we can talk about it, but it's sad. Delhi is beautiful.
Yeah.
But then I go to Bangalore, that also is now affected like that.
Exactly.
It's more smoggy and smoky. And yeah, in the winters, I was shooting a song here 5-7 days back, and the sodium light becomes all like fog, and it's not fog, it's just, I guess, pollution. Yeah, I hope something happens and people just become aware and clean. It's a beautiful city here.
Your brand association with the Hyundai, Mr. Khan, has been for 17 years. Did you know it's the oldest brand association of any celebrity with any company? I was just informed, by the way.
I'm sure, because I remember Pepsi, I was 14 years, and that time it was considered, I think, Mr. Michael J. Fox and me as the oldest brand ambassadors anywhere. And now this is 18, so
Yes,
it must have outrun that.
18-year running.
And yes, I've been very fortunate that, we started off together, and we're still going strong, and it's a very happy relationship.
Is the role of brand ambassadors changing now, sir? I mean, in the last 18 years when you were roped in by Hyundai, before that by Pepsi, are you seeing a sort of subtle change in the role that brand ambassadors have played now, especially considering the fact that you're also taking up many issues now, for instance, road safety?
I think there are two parts to it. See, you're younger then. At that point in time, you just take the upcoming movie star or someone you hope becomes famous and carries the brand along. So, your futures are tied together. Once you have settled down, so I don't know if the role is changing or will Hyundai and me have changed ourselves, because we've been kind of successful for 20 years. And you say, listen, we've done all this. Now let's do something which is more meaningful, like the Safe Move Drive or the other stuff that we may execute later. So I don't know if the role is changing, but having said that, I think the longevity is going to be a factor in ambassadorships, because I think people will now take more short-term ambassadors, because it's all new has to come, novel has to come. I think that has become the call of the day, especially with internet and social media. So you may have short-term brand ambassadors, but more so. And they used to be, like if I was a brand ambassador, one thing I would never think of. But I think that has changed now. You can kind of switch from one to the other in the same category. Actually.
Right. You've actually preempted my question, sir, because you're a furtive user of the social media. And do you feel, sir, somewhere, however, that social media is perhaps making us very polarized also as a society? Twitter, 140 characters, and there's almost seems to be this pressure to take a stand, a maximalist position, even on deeply contentious and vexing issues. Do you think the space for a more nuanced debate is sort of shrinking? And does that worry you, sir? Because you are associated as being one of the more thinking actors that we have in the country.
No, it doesn't worry me. I mean, I can think about it as a... no, it doesn't worry me at all. I mean, I think if you are on social media, you cannot expect it to be any other way. Because, it's free voice, and everybody's going to voice an opinion. And if I'm a public figure and I've decided to be there, I don't think, in spite of capital letters, abuses to your daughter and sister, I mean, you got to overlook it and think of it as just a noise in the crowd and say, listen, I shouldn't be here. And if I'm here, then I'm not going to try and change it, because social media or a public place, or you will always find all kinds of people. Finally, through your talk, through your way of being, even if it is limited by 140 characters, you will find a base for yourself, which is similar thinking. And that's what you try and do, and deal with them, read their stuff or write to them. I've never gone and disappointed that, oh my God. But yeah, it's not the medium to be really sitting and having perhaps a very deep intellectual conversation, because yeah, people do take very radical point of views and start jumping the gun, and at the end of it all, when you don't know what to talk, you just say "Teri maa ki, teri behan ki." So it's an awkward place to be.
Because I mean, if you look at, I mean, the sort of responses we've seen. As brand ambassador, I mean, so it's nobody better to answer that question but you. Are you now more conscious, even when you're sort of giving your own personal opinion? Look at what's happened with Snapdeal and Aamir. I mean, Aamir was in his own right to say whatever he felt like, but Snapdeal had to actually issue a statement because their users were uninstalling the app. So in that sense, is there more pressure now on you, sir, to be far more careful? And I know you like speaking your mind. Is there more pressure on you, Mr. Khan?
You see, when I was speaking the last time, I was giving a generic idea of what modern country should be. If you see those interviews...
Absolutely.
And now people turn around and say, oh, I'm backing off. No, not at all. I mean, it'd be stupid for me to think... I mean, it's silly of me to think that this country is not done. I'm an extreme patriot. But having said... And I don't want to say it again and again.
Yeah, please don't.
But the thing is that, yeah, you realize that, you know, even a generic, logical thing which every leader stands on platforms and screams across of secularism, of goodness, of no differences between regionalism, casteism. If you say it, people can decide that we can turn it around and make it a, you know, a radical statement and talk about it. I get messages of people saying, we don't watch your film. Yeah, I don't watch. But I just feel, yeah, I think everyone should stick, and I'm not saying it with anger or cynicism. I genuinely feel very happy and relieved that I should only talk about the work that I know. Every other platform that you expect a movie star just because he happens to be there for 25 years and you think he's someone special, I need not speak about. So I'm very happy now if you ask me about something.
You've said something which is so pertinent, that there are 3 layers of an identity of a person. One, the family that he's born in or he or she is born in, and that's where you acquire the religion. Then the geography, which part of the country you're born in, and then the nationality. But somehow it's like every other layer gets, I mean, sort of, is not talked about as much as your first layer, which is, I mean, the family you're born to or your beliefs.
Yeah, it is like that, and it's actually so. I truly believe that you don't have to be proving your patriotism in any other way apart from just thinking good for your country and doing good for you. More than thinking, I think doing good. You have to work for the benefit of your country. If I work for my benefit in the most honest, generous, kindest, hardest way, in the thing I'm an expert at, my country is going to benefit from it. I'm going to benefit the most, but my country will benefit. But if I'm corrupt about it, if I'm regional about it, if I'm making differentiations which are very small and unimportant, I will be harming my country, I think. This is how I think, and I think it's a very normal way to think. But I'm relieved now. If somebody asks me something, I can say, I'm going there. Sorry, I'm not an expert at this. Keep this question for people who should speak upon this.
And I hate it when people like you are forced to be diplomatic because of the repercussions.
And people say that, you are direct and you've lost your edge and whatever thing that you do, people will find a reason for you not to be happy with in those terms. Now he's become very mellow and diplomatic.
Don't be.
I have.
Please don't.
No, he's very blunt here. He should not speak like this. He's an icon. He should control himself. So I think I should just stick to acting. That's the job I know, and stick to discussing ladies and songs and the beauty of nature.
Well, that was Shah Rukh Khan in conversation with me, as affable as ever, but also being very brutally honest, saying that, well, the circumstances are such that it's forced him to be far more diplomatic than ever before.